Happy Fantasy Friday. This is the Banter and Bookmarks podcast. We are Lindsay,
Kelly,
and Catherine, and we are three book besties diving into romantasy with unhinged theories and a bit of spice.
This is episode 5 of a 6-episode series covering Brimstone by Callie Hart. And today we are covering chapters 39 through 45. And there will be spoilers. We will be finding clues, making connections, and theorizing all things Fae and Alchemy.
So pour yourself a drink, come escape reality with us, and let's talk about books.
I feel like we're finally getting into the action.
Yeah.
Like stuff is going to start happening. So let's start off by summarizing today's set of chapters. Again, it's chapters 39 through 45. Lindsay, why don't you get us started?
Sure thing. Chapter 39, Keeper of Secrets. Fully Brimstone has presented himself as the last candidate as the new Lord of Midnight, and the court in Amontreath is in an uproar. Cerys ignores their cries, Fully pledges himself not to the court, but to the queen, and Cerys accepts his offer. The even light fills the sky, and its beauty distracts everyone. Kingfisher asks Cerys to dance, enjoying the evening. He is showing her a beautiful rare flower when shouts ring out around the ballroom. Teladius towers over everyone, the harbinger of death. He has poisoned the entire vampire court and is offering everyone a choice. Either take an antidote, turn back into the Fae you once were and pay for your crimes, or follow the other demons into hell. Then he tips up a wine glass and drinks the poison himself.
Chapter 40, Judgment. The ballroom is in pure chaos. Cerys and Fully forced Teladius to take the cure. Right before he made his speech, Teladius had forced Zovena to take the cure, so she is also once again Fae. Cerys makes them all new relics, and they all go back to Kalish. Isabel reveals that she worked with Teladius to create the cure. She finds out that Tal is still alive, and she screams at Kingfisher to let her see him. Tal was meant to sacrifice himself and was branded with a giant witch mark on his chest. Now that he is still alive, that magic is rogue. They race into his room, and he is burning and has set the room on fire. Cerys reaches out, illuminated with white blue, and douses the flames.
Chapter 41, Processing. Cerys and Kingfisher have entered a dream state together, processing everything that just happened. Kingfisher tries to talk to Cerys about the fact that there is now a cure to the blood curse, but Cerys is hesitant. She tries to distract him with sex, and they continue to tease and talk. After they wake up, Cerys runs into Carrion, who has something to show her. He takes her up to his room, and he has basically turned it into a greenhouse. As he talks, plants start to grow and bloom around him at the sound of his voice. They look out the window, and Lauren has brought... I'm going to keep this in. This is so funny. Oh, Catherine is showing us the plants. I'm Carrion.
I tried to mute myself so that you didn't hear that, and I didn't press the button in time. I just exploded.
He's a plant. He's a plant.
Okay.
Is plant.
Keep it there. Keep it there, Kath. Keep it there. I'm going to say this again, okay? They look out the window, and Lorith has brought the entire Iran army back to Kalish. Thank you, Catherine, for that lovely plant blooming as I spoke. I like saw her in the corner of the thing while I'm reading, and I'm like, what's happening? And then I see the plant. Oh, I need a drink after that. That's funny.
Chapter 42, Black Dawn. Lorith and Danya bring the army, and bad news. The rot is spreading at an alarming rate. Cerys reads ahead in Adina's book, looking for answers, and the males decide they need to retreat to Inishtar. Hayden apologizes to Cerys, and afterwards, Cerys goes to the forge. the Hazrax is there and wants to give her 2 gifts. The first he has already given her. It was the new rune that saved Tal's life the previous night, and the second is a ring that she is to give to Foley.
Chapter 43, Dark Spots. Kingfisher and Lorith have Isabel scry for Renthus to try and find his. Kingfisher gets Isabel to admit that the rest of the witches don't know that she cast the spell on the vampires without their knowledge. It seems like she might make a move against them, so Lorith uses his magic and pins her up against a bookshelf. Saris comes into the room and puts an end to it, telling them that the rot has reached Kalish and it is time to go. Kingfisher has opened a shadow gate, and the army has already passed through it and into Inishtar. The rest of the crew passes through, Kingfisher and Onyx taking up the rear. As he is about to pass through, he hears a voice. Hello, dog.
Chapter 44, Inishtar. Saris steps through the shadow gate into Inishtar and straight into a feeder attack. They are able to stave off the attack, but it has brought havoc to the peaceful seaside village of Inishtar. They all regroup in a satyr's house, Aurelis, who is a friend of Telena. They have worked out that these feeders were mostly human, but are trying to figure out how they have gotten here, since there is no quicksilver pool nearby. Saris finally works it out that the city of Zilvarin is shaped like the most powerful magical rune, a circle, and that Madra has used it as a sigil, stealing magic for thousands of years. With the help of the witches, they must ward against her magic.
Chapter 45, Redemption. Saris and Carrion know where to find something that belongs to Madra. She has all of the guardians carry some of her hair, so they strip it off of a dead soldier. Saris sees Tal sitting on one of the cliffs, so she goes to comfort him. Zovena has died in the attack, and he is grappling with the purpose of his life. Saris picks up his sword and imbues it with quicksilver, gifting him with a god sword, and tells him to do good with it and to fight for the right side moving forward. Later, Saris and Lorith sit in Inishtar's town square, discussing Kingfisher's alternate plan to fight the rot. Hundreds of satyrs come marching into the town looking for the forgotten king. They all kneel to Carrion, celebrating his arrival back to Evalia. Saris realizes that she might know how to find Kingfisher, and she races off. What a good part to end on.
I know. It's such
A
a
I
good
just got
beautiful
part.
moment.
excited. Yeah.
And a funny moment.
Right?
Oh, God, I can't wait.
All right, guys, let's get into the deep dive. So the epigraph starts this chapter is Edina's instructions that Saris read before she left her room for the ball. And it says, consider a 6, only the golden-toothed wolf can be trusted. That's an entry from the journal of Edina of the 7 Spires.
Okay. I need to spiral here for a few minutes.
Yep.
Allow me a
Welcome to
soapbox.
the platform.
Yeah,
Allow
me a
everybody.
soapbox.
Lindsay is on the soapbox. Let's go.
Go.
This one really got to me. I spent probably hours sending voice memos to these lovely ladies about this one. Okay. After I saw this entry from the journal of Edina of the 7 Spires, I went down a giant rabbit hole about the parallels between Edina of the 7 Spires and there being 7 gods, and the possible connection to Lorith of the Broken Spire. Remember, to whom Kingfisher, her son, has given part of his demigod life, making him, Lorith, a broken spire. Broken, he's given part of his life, right? That makes sense. Then, in a moment of weakness after all of that, and I was so proud of this, I'm like, oh my God, I have uncovered genius here, right? Then I realized that before, she had always been referred to as Edina of the 7 Towers, not spires. So either this is an editing mistake, or Saris is potentially changing things again by completing these actions. Now, the hard part is that is the last time she is referred to in this book as Adina of the anything. So we don't know moving forward if she's continued to be referred to that as if like Saris has changed something,
Right.
or if she goes back to being referred to as the Seven Towers, in which I would think it was a mistake. We don't know. We don't see her being referred to anything moving forward. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a legitimate spiral or if it's a mistake. But is she Adina of the Seven Spires? Adina of the Seven Towers? There's 7 gods. Her son is a half god. Her husband maybe is a god. Maybe who's his daddy? I don't know. So
Lorith is a broken spire. We don't know.
Laura is the broken spire. I have a lot of thoughts around that.
Were both of those titles capitalized? 7 Towers and...
I believe so.
I think so.
I believe so. Because I think throughout the book, all of the of thes are all titles. So yeah, she's...
Because that kind of eliminates it just being like a tower, spire, same difference type of thing, because you wouldn't capitalize something unless it was literally a title given to something. And so switching it out seems weird.
Yeah, I do still think that there is a potential of her being of the 7 something, when it's interesting that there are 7 gods and she is potentially married to a god. Like if we assume that Finran and Styx are the same person, she would have been married to a god, right? So her connection to the gods is undeniable. So the fact that she's Adina of the 7 somethings is kind of neat. Is that the connection?
I like that connection because remember how the gods have left? And I want to say Zareth mentions they're just observing and seeing what happens. Well, using an oracle to observe things would be a good way to do it.
That's true.
Absolutely. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a mistake or I don't know.
Something
But
changing.
it's not the only thing in this episode that will haunt you.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Definitely not. Definitely
we don't have
not.
some hauntings in this episode.
And actually, just for funsies, I am looking right now to make sure it is still in there, because we have noticed that there are Kindle things that have been fixed. And as of the recording of this episode, it still says Adina of the 7 Spires. Right.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that it's on purpose.
I don't know.
I know. I've got to put my point somewhere, right? So I feel like it's on purpose, and I like your point.
It said 7 Towers and 7 Spires both within Brimstone, or is this a switch between Quicksilver and Brimstone?
I believe she has. Hold on. I think
I definitely remember Towers from Quicksilver. I don't remember if they say it in Brimstone.
Only been in Quicksilver that she was Adina of the 7 Towers. No, that's a lie. In Brimstone, Adina of the fucking 7 Towers. Very wrong indeed. Yep, I would have felt like a complete asshole if I hadn't made the decision to give Fisher the book. I would have read the note she left for him and immediately have failed the test in her eyes. Yep. It's right after Kingfisher, the chapter 33, that's the whole chapter that's her note to Kingfisher. The next chapter starts with Adina of the fucking 7 Towers. So in Brimstone, she's also referred to as Adina of the 7 Towers.
So in Quicksilver, she's only referred to as Adina of the 7 Towers.
Yes.
In Brimstone, it's where she's referred to as both.
Yes.
Yep.
And
got it.
The last instance, which is this one, is Adina of the 7 Spires. Mistake? Don't know.
Which makes it interesting because it's been Towers, 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 Towers spires.
And that's my point. It could
Seems
be
intentional.
It could be that something has changed, because if there was another instance after it, we would know. Like if it continued after that to be Adina of the Seven Spires, I would be like, oh, something has definitely changed. But it's left open that I don't know if something has changed or if it's a mistake.
Yeah.
So
I wish I
It's
knew more
intentional.
about castles.
This one haunts
Castles,
me, though.
I know.
Because if I knew what a spire was versus a tower, and I feel like there's a distinction there that I'm just not privy to, I wonder if that would have any meaning for us.
Well, isn't the spire just like the decorative piece on top
Yeah, it's
versus
like
the tower you can actually live in?
I think the spire is like the cone part.
Yeah, the cone part. So it's like the decorative part on the top versus the tower is like you can
the
live
tower with
the tower
with the spire on top.
It could, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I listen, do
the
I
castle
know
builders over here?
I know.
The
Well,
castle,
I needed a visual.
Buttresses.
If it's not baroque, don't fix it.
If it's not baroque, I'm going to say that it was intentional because that's my theory, and I have nothing else to go off of besides my gut.
This one haunts me, though, and I don't think it should, but it does.
So this is going to be the episode of the hauntings.
This one.
Last one was I don't fucking know. Now it's
I don't
hauntings.
fucking know, and now it's I don't fucking know, and I'm haunted by that.
This one haunts me, guys.
Well, I appreciate that spiral.
Before we continue our deep dive, I did want to bring something up that I actually meant to mention in our last episode, and it's going to come into play at the end of this episode. So let me give you a little bit of background to something that happened in chapter 32. So this relates to Carrion and his name. And the quote from chapter 32 is, Rook and Amelia Dianthus never got the chance to name their firstborn son. He had been called Carrion by the woman who had saved him from the Quicksilver pool back in Zulvaran, Carrion because she hadn't known what that word had meant, and some guards had called him that as she'd snuck out of the palace with him. So I don't really have much to spiral at this point about, but I think it's an important thing for us to note, right? Fae weddings, you need to know your real name, right? To have a wedding. So if we think about Carrion hopefully one day getting his own book and continuing the Dianthus line, I hope that we at least get knowledge that Carrion finds out what his real name is just for himself. Even if we don't get to know it, I want him to find out his name. And I have to wonder if our lovely Oracle Adina is maybe going to somehow magic a way for him to get that information. But it's just interesting that he's going to be known by a name, a human given name, and currently doesn't know his own.
Yeah.
That means rot.
I don't think I realized though too, like, because as we know, you have the name that you're given at birth that you don't share with anybody, and that's like the secret, and then you have the name at when you're one that you like announce everybody we're going to call. So does he not know either of? Does he not have either of them? He was never named at all.
Which is why they don't call him anything else. Because his name wasn't announced at all until he was one, and he was a newborn when he went through.
So unless that book had his name, though.
Right.
But maybe that book, that Galarian book, maybe had its name in there, but that's something very dangerous just to leave in a book.
And then he burned it.
But after he read it for 1,000 years.
Yeah, but I don't. It might.
I don't think it was in there book, personally,
right? Or if it was in there, it was probably coded or something. I don't think it would be in there either. But
you know, our boy feel like books. There's a way he could decode it if it was there.
I feel like there's a way that it's going to come up.
Yes. Yeah.
Or he's just gonna say, "No, I'm Carrion. Like that's who I am. I lived this life for a long time. I'm not gonna let go of that part of my heritage. I will become a Dianthus, but I'm Carrion." Right. I can see that happening for him and people kind of appreciating that for him. Because if people don't know what his real name is anyways, why does it matter?
Yeah. I could see him taking Swift as his first name to like honor all the women who raised him kind of thing.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
That would be cute. That would be very...
I think he'll be Carrion.
Yeah.
I think he'll be King Carrion.
King
Carrie,
dead things.
King dead
who
thing.
brings about life, which we are going to talk about in this episode.
There we go.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get back to our deep dive.
Okay.
Saris has sent for Foley when the evening got started, and he has made a beautifully timed entrance. Alget is pissed, and she's so pissed, she kicks the cat. And my eyes were immediately bugging out of my skull. Like, one, you care about that cat, you don't kick the cat. And two, the cat's not allowed to leave the library. What the fuck is the cat doing in this?
Yes.
Cat does not need to be here, and cat does not need to be kicked. Watch yourself.
Agreed.
Well, she tries to make the argument that Foley cannot serve since he's never sworn fealty to the court. But Saris, our girl, points out that neither did Hazrax. Of course, Zovena decides to get involved because she's a bitch and she can't help herself. Although you think she would have learned since she was being made to be a footstool.
Seriously.
A little bit before, but of course, this girl's not going to learn. Well, Foley says, no, I will not swear myself to the court, but I will swear myself to the queen. And Saris names him a Lord of Midnight, but we don't know what he is a keeper of, and it will be another thing that haunts
me.
Hauntings.
What are you keeping, Foley? Tell us
Yes.
what you're keeping.
Keeper of the gold teeth.
The even light appears in the sky, and it is so stunning that it literally distracts everyone. It's described by Fisher as, quote, the spirit of the gods, and is a brilliant green light.
It's like the Aurora Borealis, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
that's
think
what we
so.
see in our minds, right? Okay.
But it's
That's what I
coming
picture.
to a death court. Why?
The Aurora Borealis don't judge, it just shows up.
Yeah. And if it's the spirit of the gods and Kingfisher is a demigod, maybe knows. Maybe who knows? Saris says, quote, surprising, whether they had chosen this life for themselves or it had been thrust upon them, undying, a perversion of nature, never to know the rest and peace of the afterlife, it stood to reason that they were beyond the sight of the gods here in this unholy place. But there were still some among them who worshipped the gods. They bowed their heads in reverence as a wind ripped through the hall, and the pale green light tore overhead in a shimmering pennant that filled the night sky from horizon to horizon. It was beautiful, like nothing I'd ever witnessed before. And the ball begins, and there's music and dancing and drinking blood, obviously. And Kingfisher asks Saris to dance. I love it. But we also get an LOL moment because it's Callie Hart. And we get this quote, dancing is like fighting, Osha. It's also like fucking, and I pride myself on my skills in both of those arenas. Okay, Kingfisher, you can dance too?
He can dance if he wants us.
He lacks
leave your-
no
his friends
self-confidence.
No, that is true. Adina raised a confident little boy. And as they're dancing, Saris asks Kingfisher why he's so preoccupied with her dresses. And he doesn't quite understand what she means. She says that it feels like he's trying to domesticate her, and he is mystified at this. He says that they are an invitation, that he knows how tough life was for her in Zilvarin, and he wants her to know that she doesn't only have to be one thing here like she was there.
Yeah, I know we've talked before about Kingfisher and Saris' relationship like in this book, and I really kind of love this moment from the author here. I think it's her way of not allowing the audience of accusing Kingfisher of domesticating Saris, but instead like showing that it's very like purposeful and thoughtful in his actions. You know,
Right.
like I think it's really easy to fall down that rabbit hole of like, oh, they're too comfortable, or he's trying to make her something that he's not, and all these things. And I think Callie is pointing out here, no, that's not what he's doing. He's just allowing her the room to be something if she wants to be it. I don't know. I love it.
Right. And I love that you don't have to only be one thing. Like women people are multifaceted. They can
Yep.
be a badass fighter in fighting leathers one day, and then they can want to wear a pink frilly gown the next. I mean, we've all been there, right?
Badass and beautiful.
That's right.
Hey, that's
Mhm.
right.
And to further this point, he shows her a beautiful flower in a flower arrangement. It is a widow's bane, which is that same thing that Lorith gave her to chew on back in Quicksilver at Gillenthry to take away her pain. And Kingfisher explains that if not handled properly, it can kill a man. He says, quote, "I came here to show you that sometimes the most beautiful things are also deadliest."
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, Saris.
Let's go, girl.
And then all hell literally breaks loose.
Hello, welcome.
So all around them, vampires start screaming and vomiting up blood, convulsing on the floor. Thank you, Catherine, for the beautiful reenactment there. Quote, "And in the midst of all of them stood Teladius, towering over them like some silver-haired harbinger of death." I love the word harbinger for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
"Brothers and sisters," he cried, "your judgment has come for you at last. Your gluttony is your undoing. Welcome to your final death. But who am I to deny you one last chance at redemption? The thralls you have sipped so greedily upon this evening are passing through the hall with glass vials. Take a vial and swallow its contents, and you will undergo a painful transformation. No, not a transformation. You will be reborn. Back into life, back into your Fae bodies, where you will face the horrors of what you have allowed yourselves to become. Refuse the vials, and you will join the other demons in hell with me. Post haste."
That means right now, bitches.
It's very Caesar Flickerman, don't you think? It's like, "Mah!"
What a badass.
Seriously.
But kind of also unhinged, because I will tell you, I think we talked about this in our last episode too. I did not see this shit coming.
No.
Nope.
I was shocked. My
Yes.
jaw was on the flooreth. Lorith. I'm sorry.
I'm on the floor with the Lorith.
I was shooketh on the flooreth with Lorith.
I was like, this happened, and I think this is, I had to go back and be like,
what
the fuck is happening?
Yes. 100%.
But it is Tal. Also, it is very Tal coded though, because he very much like Foley sees himself as just this one thing, as a monster. He thinks he is this irredeemable person as well, thus why he's willing to die for this.
But so to be honest, I didn't get it until this moment. I did not see that in his character at all up until right now. Right. I really did not read it in his character until this. And now, obviously, in the rest of the book, you see it. But I didn't get, I was shocked. Did not see this coming.
I hope he finds a very good therapist in Lycia to talk through his problems. Sure. Foley should probably see one as well. They have very, very bad feelings about their vampirism that they need to work through. And moving forward.
I will say, though, you make a good point, Lindsay, about the fact that you didn't see it in his character until now. And now you're like, oh, now I can see it. And I think it's actually a really good and smart, it feels kind of like a respectful way to show struggle with mental health, because so many times when we hear about actors or people that you know that suffer from depression and are going through these things, a lot of times they talk about how you would never know in real life. They have to work so hard to show themselves as one thing, but they're struggling. And so Tal was struggling this whole time, but nobody ever knew it. And so it kind of is, I think, a beautiful way to pay homage to the fact that like you don't know what someone is going through.
He was masking it with blood orgies.
Yeah.
He was. Right. No, literally, he was saying his funny little lines. He was being flirty. He was doing his things.
Well, and if you think about it, his true friends were the Lupo back in the day, and he hasn't
Yeah.
been with them in a really long time.
Yeah.
So we can assume that in Sanisroth, he hasn't had any true allies,
Right.
and therefore hasn't really had anyone to talk to about it. So
Right.
now that the
And-
Lupo are back in his life, it's probably made a big difference to him.
And
True.
this woman he gave up his soul for, this
Yeah.
woman he loves, has spent the last 1,000 years torturing him with that
Yeah.
and not loving him back.
Right. And now she's
What
gone.
a footstool.
Seriously.
Tal, you need to find yourself a good old girl. A
Catherine.
good girl who will respect you for the amazingness that you are.
Have you met Catherine?
Come on!
Hal?
Let's have a party with Carrion. We'll all be happy.
All right. Well, let's get back to what's happening in this chapter. Tal turns to Kingfisher and Saris and says, quote, "This is what should have been done a long time ago. This was my final act as a Lord of Midnight. Now I'll go pay for the sins I have committed." He tips back a glass filled with thick blood, and the last thing he says, "Tell Everlane I'm sorry."
Oh,
So dramatic.
heart
And then
wrenching.
he falls to the ground and he starts to shake. I thought this was it. I was very, very anxious reading this the first time. I was like, no, you. And I kept
was
looking
just
at
Especially
Catherine, like,
because we kind of postulated that their marriage was one of political, or not their marriage, but their
betrothal.
thank you,
Mm-hmm.
was one of like political convenience. But if he's apologizing in this moment, either he just feels that guilty about leaving
Right.
her for Zovenna, but there must be some feelings there.
Right. I agree.
Or maybe just her, like, childish. She was probably very young at the time, feelings
I don't
of
know.
abandonment.
There's got to be feelings after
Just
all this
care.
time. If that's what you say in this moment, there's got to be feelings. And then if you think about it, what's going to happen when she wakes up and now he's Fae again and Renfus is in the picture too?
I don't like-
I don't know, but I want to know.
I don't know
What don't you like?
if... Well, I don't think Everlane has enough spunk for Mr. Blood Orgy Tal. I don't think she is going to be to his taste. Just personally.
Maybe that's not what he was into either. He was just using sex to mask his unhappiness.
Man, this guy has so much depth.
He does. We also don't know too much about Everlane. You don't know what
Right.
fake she was.
She could
pulling
be
out
a
there.
freak in the sheets.
She could be freaky shit. You don't know.
don't know.
We literally knew her for like 6 days.
She
in
said
the
like
first
8
book.
sentences in the whole book. Yeah.
She could be some freaky shit.
I have made so many assumptions about her.
She's trapped in a hell right now doing some freaky shit with some demons.
right.
Maybe.
You don't know. It could be happening.
Oh,
Okay.
But that is
Back
actually
to-
a good point, is that Tal is
Freaky
mentioning,
demon
and I'm
sex?
going to actually take him literally in his sentence where he says, "And you join the other demons in hell." That line is kind of reinforcing my belief that Diaxis might be called another realm, but I really do feel it is like an underworld type of place, because there's just this repeated mentionings of hell and demons that we associate with the world like that. And so it's kind of just furthering my belief that that's what we're trying to establish this place as.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see it. All right, well, he's on the ground. He's convulsing. He had this whole "tell Everlane I'm sorry" moment. And Saris and Foley hold him down and force him to take the cure. They're like, not today, Tal. Good try. We find out that only 1 in 10 vampires chose to take the cure.
Bye.
Interesting. I know.
I'm
Crazy.
not that broken up about all of them.
Bye, vamps.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sad.
Sorry. Sarah says, quote, "He made sure none of the thralls gave us wine with the blood in it. This is why he wanted to disavow me. It's all linked. Malcolm's blood turned these high bloods. It must be some kind of magic." But Kingfisher tells her, not magic, a spell. something to affect Malcolm's line. This is why he disavowed Saris and Foley. He did not want them to have to go through this. He was caring about his friends even up until the last minute. His planned last minute, I should say. Zavenna comes around the corner and tells him that before his speech, Tal had taken her by surprise and made her take it too. So she is Fae now. Interesting. Tal wakes up. He's absolutely devastated that they forced him to drink the cure, but Foley gives him this whole speech about forgiveness and hope before he is racked by another seizure.
I feel like Foley was giving that speech to Tal, but also to himself, because I feel like
for
Foley's
sure.
finally
Yeah.
gotten it there. Like he's come to that same realization. So
Yeah.
it's like a pep talk
Yeah.
for both of these guys that have serious mental health issues right now when
Yeah,
it comes to
absolutely.
their own self-identity.
Yes, yeah, for sure. He's helping him see the light for himself. Well, Kingfisher says, I can't find Alget anywhere, which means she probably drank from a vial and isn't a high blood anymore. And trust me, if you thought she was bad as a vampire, you definitely do not want to run into her as a witch.
Honestly, I thought she was
Okay.
pretty funny. I like her.
See,
I don't
this
know.
quote is one of those that I feel like is setting up for
Something.
either she probably drank the bile and isn't a high blood anymore. To me, that screams they're wrong and she's still a vampire somewhere, right? Or now she's a witch and she's fucking powerful and she ran back to her clan.
Right.
And she's bad news.
Right.
But I don't know if she could, because the clan disavowed her for dark magic before she even became a vampire. So I wonder if she has supporters.
I don't know. I think thousands of years have gone by, and I think that she's loaded up with some information, I'm guessing. I'm guessing she probably has something to buy herself back in.
For sure. She can make deals.
Yeah,
that's good.
Or again, she probably drank the vial and isn't a high blood anymore. That is suspicious language. Probably. I'm not dying it.
Yeah. Right.
But more importantly,
like you said, either you want us to know or you don't want us to know.
Right.
But more importantly,
either way,
where's the cat?
Where's the cat? Where's Guru?
Just saying.
It's not with her. I don't really think it likes her very much.
No, I don't think it has loyalty
it just got
to
kicked.
her.
Hopefully, Kingfisher finds a new shadow. Well, Saris very easily makes new relics for Tal, Zavenna, and Foley, and they all go to Kalish. Quote, the residents of Amontriath were Fae now. They were confused. Even down in the cogs, the high bloods were all dead, and disoriented Fae wandered the streets, not knowing what to do or where to go. So it sounds like there's been this trickle-down effect, but what's interesting is this effect has not trickled down to the actual horde of feeders. And I'm not talking about the rot-infected ones. I'm just talking about, like, general feeders. Like, I would have thought maybe there would have been some kind of connection to the feeders that were created by the vampires as maybe whatever keeps them animated being severed, but that just does not appear to be the case. Well, Kingfisher tracks down Isabel, and I love this word game he plays with her because he just traps her into a corner with all of her lies. And she admits that she was the one that cast the spell along with Tal. And this also explains why when she arrived back at college a few days ago, she had been elevated to a prioress. And also, side note here, they were all freed from the Blood Court's control, which meant they were no longer bound to Saris, something Isabel had failed to tell Tal. And so I have a question here. And it's kind of about this whole cure thing, really. So Kingfisher says to Isabel, your blood is a curse to all vampires. It kills them unless they take the antidote, which your clan created. Okay. So it can't be because like a general witch's blood would kill them, right? Because Algat was a witch and she was turned into a vampire. So is it because Isabel comes from this same clan that was part of the original vampire cure that, you know, the Rurik Dianthus when he came up with the
Mhm.
cure. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, why Isabel specifically? Is that what we're
I'm gonna
supposed to make the
assume
connection?
so. Yeah,
That was my thought.
you're
Yeah.
right.
Well, then taking that a step further then, because of this connection between Dianthus and the Belcador
Mhm.
witches, I still have to again wonder about Carrion's parentage, right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
because this cure works is because it's that same clan that perhaps his mother had come from. And so
For sure.
that kind of connection just it's kind of being reinforced, but I was curious if you guys were making that kind of same connection.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not spelled out, but that's also my assumption with
Mhm.
Fair.
everything.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
don't know.
Kingfisher tells Isabel that Tal is still alive and she panics, saying, quote, "The sigils I marked the thralls with, they weren't big enough, weren't strong enough. I couldn't risk the high blood sensing the magic on them or seeing large marks. I needed a much bigger conduit to channel the spell, one that would then redirect the energy to the thralls and complete the spell." And that's that tattoo that Kingfisher noticed on Tal's chest a few chapters ago. That's that witch's mark. And, well, Tal is on fire and everything around him is in flames.
He is in
Yay!
fuego. Yes, he is.
In fuego.
Fuego.
Talerias in fuego.
Galerias en fuego.
Not as cool as it sounds. Kind of bad.
Right.
Kind of hot.
Right? So Isabel basically expected him to die, as did he, and
Right.
therefore the spell would have died with him. But since they cured him, the spell has gone rogue, right?
They're fucked.
He's not
Right.
dead. He's not dead.
So, quote,
No.
"It's borrowed magic, dark magic. It lends itself power to the one who binds it, but left unchecked, steals power. Eventually, it will open a gateway that cannot be closed to the realm from where all dark magic hails, the demon realm. I will not say its name." That sure sounds like Diaxis, right?
Sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does.
Also,
Yep.
but why won't she say the name? I feel like, is it like Voldemort? You can't say it. Like, why
don't
can't we say
know.
Diaxis?
Well, so remember, though, that they have different gods and different beliefs than
Oh.
Evalians.
Oh, but I thought
True.
she just didn't believe in that Tosh type of thing.
Yeah.
No, your
I
silly
know.
gods aren't real.
Right? So maybe it's just something that has to do with like her different religion versus theirs kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Right.
you know?
Like I won't acknowledge it because it's
right.
not.
Or
yeah.
if it's just in her religion, it's respected differently kind
True.
of thing, you know?
Yeah, and that's true.
Because
She
I
could still
think
have a
they're
hell.
very right, like they're very much like I see them as like very natural, like
Mhm.
worshipers of the
Mhm.
earth and very
Yeah.
like druid kind of
Yes.
feeling. And so I think when you talk about demons, she probably is like, I'm not talking about that.
Right.
You know, that's how
Right.
I read it. But that
Yeah.
sure sounds like Diaxis here.
Yep.
Mhm.
She says to Kingfisher, "Wah, wah."
She says exactly that.
Right. And Sarah says, quote, "I can feel them. They want to get through. They're hungry." Interesting, again, that Saris feels that. All this power this bitch has, right?
So this is a dark witch's mark, okay? And dark magic comes from the bad place, Diaxis, okay? Hazrax has gifted her the rune. She doesn't realize it yet, but
Mhm.
it has gifted it her.
We
Pronouns.
got it. You're good. Yeah, you're good.
Hazrax has gifted it to
Don't worry.
Saris. So I think
Yes.
that might be why she can feel the darkness. Like the rune that's on Tal is dark magic coming from the bad place.
Right.
She has this rune, her gift from Hazrax. That is the method by which she
Right.
can feel it from Tal. So I think
Right,
that's
but
just the reason.
But I'm saying it still connects the Hazrax to Diaxis.
It does. It does.
In a very concrete way.
Or is it
Yeah.
simply because that rune of his can generally break anything? and it is sensing that which it needs to break. It senses a rune that comes from the bad place,
don't
I
know.
guess. I don't know if correlation and causation kind of situation here, but I hear
don't
you.
know. I feel like we struggle to figure out who the Hazrax is, and that
Amen,
line
sister,
of
amen.
that we're going to get at the end, like somewhere in here about you're so close to figuring out who I am.
Right.
These little hints in here that as we're talking about this scene, we have to remember that the Hazrax is the one that gives her this power. Okay.
Yes.
So let's keep going. Let's see if we come up with any more nuggets here. Okay. So then Kingfisher reaches out to her and, quote, "The second my hand touched hers, the rune that marked my skin, mirroring hers," again, Catherine talked a lot about this in the last episode, "exploded with light. A pain like no other tore up my arm and detonated inside my head, bringing me to my knees. I couldn't think around it, couldn't breathe. Hell was coming. Hell was here." Now, Kingfisher does refer to Diaxis as hell, okay?
Can I show you something on the back of this book that's going to further your point? So it says their fates were forged in quicksilver, but they will be fired in brimstone. So if we're connecting Diaxis to the source of brimstone, right? If we're making that is the place for which an ultimate source of brimstone
and
comes
forged.
from and forged.
Forged.
So him feeling this pain is basically feeling it from that place.
And wouldn't it make sense that he would feel that more than anyone if it came from Diaxis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, continuing, quote, "But then Saris was leaning over Tao's flaming body, and she was pressing her hands to his chest. Her whole right arm was illuminated brilliant white blue. In the space between heartbeats, where my seized lungs tried and failed to take a breath, the glowing filaments of Isabel's spell fell apart, and the fires of hell went out." Again, I feel like the use of the word hell and the fact that at the end, Kingfisher calls hell Diaxis is really important here.
Yep. And let's also talk about the foreshadowing in this scene. So Tal has foreshadowing. All right. So Tal has opened a portal to hell. And remember, at the end of the book, Kingfisher and Saris do actually go through a portal to the place that he calls hell.
Yes.
So, okay, foreshadowing. Somehow, Saris can feel what's on the other side, just like she could with Everlane. So let's remember that she was feeling that with Everlane. And when Kingfisher touches her, who we now know to be a demigod of the shadow realm, their god binding flares, and he feels immense pain. Then somehow, with her newfound power, Saris is able to calm the hellfire out of Teladius.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot, girl.
A lot of power, a lot of foreshadowing. Just, I get bad juju from this scene. Not gonna lie.
You mean when you're dealing with a portal to hell, it's not all sunshine and daisies?
No.
Well, you know what?
Not in this case.
You know what we need to do? We need to enter a dream state together. And we need to process everything that just happened.
Let's
and
do
that's
that.
exactly
Let's
what
take a drink.
Kingfisher and Saris do. And Saris says, quote, "It was difficult to concentrate in the dream sometimes. It was as though I was missing information and I knew I was missing it. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't figure out what I didn't know."
Haunting number 4.
All right. I'm putting it down.
This one is another one for me.
So I have
because she's telling us that she's missing something.
Okay. I know what I think. Oh, I have a theory about that.
Yes.
I think it's because of all the mental gymnastics that Kingfisher is doing to not think things and not
Yes.
say things to her, to hide things from her so that the dragons can't read her minds.
I
Love
agree.
that.
I agree. I agree.
She's connected with him. She's figuring out, wait a minute, I'm not getting all the things. And because Kingfisher's not giving her all the things.
Is it particularly that he can do that in the dream state?
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
That's why I think I'm starting to see this more as a malicious dream state of he's doing this intentionally because he knows it will muddle her more, and he is able to hide his thoughts more from her in this state. So where we saw it as something romantic and amazing before, I now see it as more a little bit manipulative and intentionally trying to keep things from her. I realize he has to. He can't allow the dragon to know certain thoughts, and he knows where this is going. It is a miscommunication that I realize they need to miscommunicate on, and I think she would agree with him in this. She's having to do the same with Adina's diary.
Right.
But I think the dream state is to aid in his ability, and I think she's sensing that here.
Yeah.
See, I don't see it as malicious. But
it's probably a strong word, I will say. That's probably a very strong word.
Yeah.
More like an aid.
I could see how he could be like, listen, I need to keep her safe. Let me add a little bit something extra to keep her safe. I could see that. I don't know how I feel about it, but I could see it. Yeah.
I do like your point, Kelly, that she's missing things that he's keeping from her in the dreams. That makes sense, because this is one of those quotes that has really bothered me of like, she's purposefully telling us that we're missing things.
Right.
What are we missing? What are we missing? Right. Lindsay, what are you missing? So that does answer that for me.
Are you a little bit less haunted now by that?
No.
Yeah.
Slightly. Catherine's like, no, Kelly, I disagree with you.
No, I agree with everything you say. I'm still haunted. And this new rune that we've been talking about, quote, the third rune had shown up when I touched Tal's chest. I hadn't meant to walk into that burning bedroom, hadn't meant to touch the man's marked chest. Something had pulled me forward, unbidden, with a sense of urgency I had been powerless to ignore. My body hadn't been my own. And obviously, as we have said in a few chapters, this is the rune she was gifted by Hazrax.
I know.
And does that mean that the Hazrax is like making her do that? Like she says, like she's pulled forward, unbidden,
compelled, right?
Powerless to ignore, being compelled. Like, is the Hazrax doing that to her?
Or is it a function of the rune itself and what it does?
True.
Just to throw complication to everything.
Right. Either way, it's...
Is it him himself, or is it the gift
your head at?
that he gave her? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kingfisher asks Saris if she wants to talk about the fact that there is now a cure for the blood curse. And after some coaxing, she admits that she's afraid to take it. She's afraid that it would make her human again rather than making her wholly Fae, and that basically she would get old and die and leave Kingfisher behind. And Kingfisher's response is, fine, I'll die too. And he says, listen, let my love be equal to yours. And I love this quote. Let my love be equal to yours. If you love me that much, then stop second guessing that I would love you that much back.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I love it. I wake back up in college, and Saris runs into Carrion, and they have some friendly back and forth, and he says, I need your help with something. And enter Plant. Thank you, Catherine. They go up to his room, and it is completely transformed with these beautiful real plants, not the fake one that Catherine, I bet, got at IKEA. Yep, those are IKEA plants, aren't they? Or
how
Target.
Rude. Yes. But how rude you insult my IKEA plants.
I didn't insult them. I guessed correctly that they're from IKEA. Of course they are.
Just because they're purple doesn't mean they can't come from IKEA.
No, but it sounded so derogatory. They're beautiful. I love them.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. Moving on along. So they go up to his room. It's transformed. Quote, when we'd first arrived in college, Carrion and I had awoken in the same room, a huge room, granted, with 4 large beds in it. There was only one bed in that room now, and Carrion had well and truly made the space his own. There were shelves with a multitude of books, because obviously Carrion's going to have some books, a chaise by one of the windows. There had already been a wardrobe here. Now there were 2, though given the wrinkled clothes discarded in piles across the room, Carrion didn't appear to be using either of them. Well, what else is in them? I also have to wonder about that. The windows were fogged up with condensation, probably due to the extraordinary number of potted plants he'd managed to cram inside the room. I hope so, or else he's getting it on with somebody and we don't know who, and I don't like that. So I'm going to say it's the plants, people.
Don't worry, Kelly, because
no centralized HVAC. So
No sense. Exactly. Well, I love
it
this.
is cold there.
It is cold.
Sure.
Listen, he has made this his own, and his plants are helping him take over, and he is becoming more at home here, which I love. He's not in Sylvarn anymore.
Right.
And he's making a space.
But interesting, Onyx is curled up in the closet sleeping. Now, Onyx does seem to be in a lot of places that are important, and important conversations happen. And he just so happens to be here. Just saying.
But Kelly was worried what's in the closet. It's just Onyx. That's why there's no clothes in the closet, Kelly. Because Onyx needed to be in there. It's more important.
But he's there. Okay.
Wait a minute. He's there in the closet. Wasn't he also in the closet in the bonus chapter from Callie's website after Quicksilver when he was looking for the boots for Carrion and Onyx was in the closet?
In the closet.
There is something to Onyx in the closet. Okay.
Or just, that's what I'm saying, Onyx being there in general. He's always there.
Always.
Yeah.
All right.
Even in dreams.
Even in dreams.
Always there.
He sees you when you're sleeping.
Yep. Well, Carrion has been researching, of course he has, with his books, the history of the Winter Court. As he speaks, quote, my train of thought abandoned me. I was staring at the plant in the little boot pot sitting by the windowsill. Its leaves were glossy and rich, deep green. White flowers bloomed all over it, tiny and shaped like little flutes, their petals curling up at the ends. I watched as more of them seemed to grow, their petals forming and turning from green to white right before my eyes. The more he spoke, the more the plant next to him on the sill flowered. New shoots formed as he rambled, and those shoots became branches. This was what he wanted Sarah's her help with, just to make sure he's not going crazy. And the plants are growing because he talks to them.
You see this, right?
You see this, right?
I love it. I have to say, and we've talked about this before, I'm very proud of myself here. I had made the video a while back guessing that plants were a part of Carrion's Fae powers. Whoop, 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 whoop. And we were right. Catherine brought up in our last episode about the flowers growing on the wall when Carrion hit the wall during the Archer attack. So there's definitely more to this. I think we've also taken it a step further that since Carrion is the rightful king of Evalia, even though the rot hasn't invaded Evalia specifically yet, we are going to assume it might very well soon. And so I think that Ceres is going to be able to harness the Brimstone to kill the rot, and Carrion is going to be able to make that land fertile again. And I think that she will be the queen of Sanisroth, and he will be the king of Evalia. And with Foley Briarstone's help, the 2 kingdoms will finally live in harmony.
And they all lived happily ever after. All right, people, we're done now. That's a wrap.
Rip the heart out with other books.
That's my guess. That I would like to clock that in right now.
But isn't there something beautiful about his name being death, but his power being plants and life?
Yes. Yeah, I love it.
So cute.
It's beautiful.
So what do we make, though, of Kingfisher several chapters before guessing that Carrion's power is fire. Do we think this is an alternate timeline issue? Do we think it's simply that the Dianthus line itself is the most powerful, so Carrion will command like maybe multiple birthright, gifts? And I mean, just what do we take? We've got plants and we got fire. What are we thinking? Fuck if I
Yeah,
know. I'm haunted. What?
maybe fuck
No.
if I know, but my mind leaned towards with that specifically, it's not timelines. I think it's power because we are told that that's the reason the Dianthus were the rulers is because they were the most powerful. And so I think it makes sense that he would have multiple powers. I don't know why Kingfisher assumes that it's fire. That one I can't figure out the text to support that other than Kingfisher saying, I think he might have fire.
But, and he's got red hair.
Why?
Doesn't someone also guess that Ceres has fire power too?
Tal does.
She has one of the elementals because Malcolm said specifically you have the rune for that. You're going to have that power.
I'm almost wondering if there's something to the fact that they both are from or lived in Zilvarin for as long as they did in the land with the suns that was hot as shit. And I wonder if they're living there in also the land that was made out of the circles of this crazy magic, like if that impacted their power in some way and gave them or stole them that power.
Yeah, who knows?
Because why would you guess that both of them have fire, like very specifically on the page?
Yeah. Hers makes sense because of the rune.
Yes.
Yeah.
His
I
have
have
no clue.
His is like, you have red hair, fire power, dude.
Yeah, but I do think he actually does have multiple.
I wonder if Rurik
too.
had that power. Do we know what Rurik's power was? Maybe.
Nope. We know
just
that
he was
Dianthus
very
were
powerful.
Yeah.
The most.
Maybe that's why.
Right. Because maybe usually you inherit it from your father, and so he assumed it.
And if his mother is a witch and witches commune with nature, maybe he got the fire from his dad and the plants from his mom.
There you go.
Maybe, baby. All right.
Maybe.
Cool.
That's true. Kingfisher get 2. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, he inherited his powers from his parents.
You get a power.
Ceres has got like 9 of them.
True. Right. If she can have 9, you can have 2.
Yeah.
You go ahead with their 2 carrion.
Just going back to that plant, his first affinity for plants back in Quicksilver, right? Was that the same plant that he grows here? Like there was that joke, on social media, and Callie even addressed, she's like, oh yes, Carrion definitely still has his plant.
Yeah.
Is that specific plant important, or is it just meant to show that plant power was all the way since back at Quicksilver, essentially?
I think it's one of in his collection.
I agree. I think
it's in the room.
The clue to his plant.
He's got a whole greenhouse now.
Yeah,
yes,
I think it's in the room for sure.
Exactly, because he was out there talking to himself in the middle of the snow, and a plant popped up.
He's definitely named them.
Oh, 100%. And he sings them at bedtime, that carrion. Well, then they look out the window and they see Lorith marching with the entire Irin army. So things go from like fun plants, am I crazy, to there is an army marching towards us. Well, Lorith and Danya have marched the army to Kalish because the rot is spreading extremely quickly. And at this rate, it will be at Kalish in an easy 12 to 16 hours. Perfect. Yikes. They decide to check Adina's book for help, and Ceres realizes that she has missed some instructions.
Girl.
Come on now.
You got one job.
Read on after evenlight, it says. Do not undo Zareth's work. You are as you are for a reason. Do not drink from the vial. Do not let your new lord drink. The time will come, but not yet. Thank God, because she didn't do those things anyway.
We're good.
Whoo, that was close, but like, come on now.
Yep.
Keep reading them. All right, the next one. It says, read on at the White Cliffs. The males take that to mean that they must venture to Inishtar. And Danya, our good old friend who thankfully was not in a lot of this book, is absolutely furious that they would consider leaving their home and retreating. She sees it as retreating. She's like, "Oh, we're up and out."
You know what, Danya? You can stay right here and let the
Right,
rock
you go
consume
ahead.
you. You go ahead.
You go
You stay
ahead.
right here. I'm fine with that.
Well, they know that they need Brimstone to fight it, and Lorith hints that there is another way to get it, other than what we know is basically fire sprite genocide. So Kingfisher is like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not
shuts it
doing it.
down quick.
He
Yeah.
shuts it down. So we're
Both
all like, wait a
things.
minute. What is right? Obviously, we know he's not going to let the fire sprites sacrifice themselves. Also, to be fair, they haven't offered at this point, although we all probably think that they would offer it in a second, but they have not. And at least not on page. And Kingfisher shuts down that other thing, which we'll learn about later, but
And
interesting.
I hated Danya even more in this moment because she was the one pushing for a fire sprite genocide. And did you notice she even uses the line mad dogs? I was like, you cunt. That is what Bellicon calls Kingfisher. And you would
Yeah.
dare to use that terminology. And then in the next chapter or later in this chapter, that is exactly what Bellicon calls him. It just made me hate her even more. And even Kingfisher is at his wit's end. He's like, you think about it or you take a step towards those sprites and I will kill you here and now, Danya.
Good. Good.
She's on
That
thin
is
I still
ice.
need to know what the
It was
I
frig
don't
so
think
Danya.
icky.
Wait, I didn't clock that
Yes.
she used that.
She said mad dogs. Like, and she didn't say it specifically at Kingfisher, but she's saying it to
Ew.
all the males. But how dare you use that terminology that includes him when Bellicon called him that?
Yeah.
Like,
and you know that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I do not understand why Danya is a Lupro. I need to know why because I cannot. It's actually, to me, one of the reasons why I don't fully trust Kingfish. It's like, to me, it is a slight on Kingfisher's character that Danya is a Lupo. And I need to know why, because there's got to be a reason. Because if there is no reason, it's going to change a lot of the things that I feel about Kingfisher.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Even though you're on my book boyfriend list, Kingfisher, I love you.
There's gotta be a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll die and redeem herself in our eyes
Through death.
through her
Sacrifice
death
herself.
and sacrifice. Because as of right now, she's not sacrificed for anything. I mean, she got a haircut. She burned her skull.
No. She's gotten a hair.
She got a haircut.
And she's given up her god sword, but she didn't want to give up her god sword. So let's remember that.
Sarah decides to go speak with Hayden, but before she leaves, Kingfisher tells her that he knows she wants to ask questions of him. He needs her to wait. And this was absolutely foreshadowing, the future, when he knows that dragon is going to see into her mind, and he has to limit what Saris knows. Hayden admits that he is absolutely lost. Yeah, no shit. And he doesn't know who he's supposed to be. Yeah, no shit. Maybe do something, kid. You're like 19 at this point. Grow up. Well, he does apologize to Saris, though, saying they're family. And if she's staying, then so is he. So I guess there's that. As they're
Nobody
walking,
ever apologized to Catherine because she's going to be like,
not like that. Not like that.
No,
it's all me,
it was
me,
a
me.
half
I don't know
apology.
what
It was
to
a half.
do. Yeah. It's like,
I guess
grow
I'll
up.
stay with
Maybe,
you.
I don't know. Carrion wants to bring a lot of books with us. Maybe help him carry them. Do something, kid. Do something.
Make it useful.
As they're walking back, Sarah feels this strange pull, though. Similar to that pull she felt the previous night when she was driven towards Tal to put her hand over his flaming chest. But this time, it's pulling her towards the forge. Hazrax is there. It says that the witches have ruined things for it. It says time will tell if their gamble pays off, but things were ruined for it specifically, for the Hazrax.
Yeah. Mm.
Any thoughts here on what the witches ruined?
Oh.
I have to assume that it has something to do with wanting to watch the vampire court, right? Like, it made the deal with Malcolm,
Yeah.
even though Malcolm is a total asshole. It's made the same deal with Saris, so there has to be a reason that the Hazrax had for watching the vampire court.
Yeah.
And now the vampire court doesn't exist. So what is that reason specifically? That I don't know.
That's a good
That's
point.
my only
I would
that's
agree
my
with
only
you.
guess.
That's the
Yeah.
only thing I can come up
like
with.
that guess because my thought was that it ruined parts of the plans that he knew with Adina, but the fact that
Things can change.
she can still read things can change, but I thought Adina said, like, you have to follow this path. I've seen all the options and this is the only way. So the fact that she can still follow that path gives me a little bit of hope that things are still on track. But my mind immediately went to, clearly the Hazrax knows what's up with it. Like, I'm convinced that Hazrax and Adina are BFFs or like in cahoots or connected
too.
somehow,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
So I was worried that it ruined Adina's plans, but how do you ruin an oracle's plan? I
Things
don't
can
know.
change.
For some
Things
reason,
can
I don't
change.
feel like these two things are connected. I don't know
Okay.
why.
I hope
this
you're right.
doesn't scream the connection to Adina. To me, the
Okay.
only thing that this screams is the vampire court, because it's specifically talking about the witches ruined it.
Yeah.
And what did the witches ruin was the vampire court. So
True.
it has to be
True.
connected to that.
Yeah. Right. And Adina knew, like, it's going to happen. You can't take the vial. Yeah, true. Okay. I'm feeling better about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Well,
I don't know why,
anxious.
but
Well, we are now going to begin one page of the book, which we are going to proceed to spend probably 20, 30 minutes talking about, because this is probably the biggest haunting of the entire episode for us. And it begins with this quote. You know, you're only the third person I have broken my silence for in a millennium. Saris, Malcolm.
I think we talked about this last time. My guess here is Adina.
Yeah.
I know that it makes not a whole lot of sense, but remember in the last set of chapters when Archer tells the story about how Adina used to go to this very forge that Saris and the Hazrax are currently standing in, and that she would sit in the chair and come and talk to a friend that Archer couldn't see.
Okay.
That screams the Hazrax breaking its silence for some reason to me. I don't know why.
Okay. So you don't think it's Onyx anymore that she was talking to? We think it's Hazrax.
I think it's the Hazrax.
And what else does the Hazrax say in this exact set of pages? I have seen through the eyes of your oracle.
Of your oracle, exactly. So paired with that quote.
Because Hazrax has said it does not have the sight. So to be able to see through the eyes of the oracle, in my mind, has to be because Adina has somehow allowed that to occur through them communicating in some form or fashion.
Right. Yes.
All right. I'm on board. I like it. I agree.
And also, like, why point out that there's three people? We know two of them, other than to make us question who the third one is.
Oh, of course. 100%. Well, the Hazrax has a 2-part gift for Saris. Her new rune that she saved Tal with last night.
And Catherine, I'm sorry, I corrected you earlier. I was wrong. It is the break rune. For some reason, I thought he gave her a different rune, but it is the break rune. So, yeah. So you were right when we talked about that earlier. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So it gave that to her last night. And then Saris asks Hazrax what the rune means, since she can't find a translation for it anywhere. And it tells her, quote, "It is blasphemy to record such things on paper, King Killer. The rune is my name. It does not grant you magic the same way other runes do. The ability my rune grants you is complicated. It allows you to undo or maybe break." Huh.
Okay. So do we think Hazrax literally means the rune is my name? Because remember how Saris reminded us earlier, a person's true name held power. With it, a person could control the other. They could command them to do whatever they pleased. Is this like that? She can somehow control its power through only
Mhm.
the rune, since she can't actually say the name. She doesn't know the actual name of this rune.
Right.
She knows
She
what it
can't
does,
translate it.
break,
Right.
undo, but she doesn't know
Yeah.
the actual name. So she's not invoking a name. So is this maybe a way for her to channel Hazrax's power through this rune rather than fully controlling Hazrax? Maybe that name thing is only a Fae thing, and I shouldn't correlate it to Hazrax. But it's like, I'm wondering if it's a way for her to borrow its power. And I thought only gods could give runes. And this is where I continue to go back and forth about, is Hazrax a god?
So I was thinking about this, Catherine, and I looked ahead to how Saris prompts the rune. I couldn't remember when she calls upon it to save Onyx, the exact wording that she did, because if she said a specific thing like break or undo or whatever, would that be her using the Hazrax quote unquote name?
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at the chapter and she doesn't actually use any words. And she even says in there, I don't need to use words. There aren't words to use. I just need to channel my magic through it. So I think it's really interesting that if the Hazrax, okay, if the rune is its name and names hold importance, she
Right.
doesn't say its name out loud in order to use the rune's power.
Because he is the keeper of silence.
Silence. Yes. And she even says that word in there somewhere. I forget what the context is, but she says something about it being a silent rune. And when I saw the word silence, I was like, oh, wait, silence, the keeper of silence, the Hazrax. So if it's literally the rune is the Hazrax name, she doesn't say it, which means she doesn't hold the Hazrax power.
Or she's just used it up. Or like not
I think
a
for sure
piece,
she's used it up.
used
Yeah.
up a piece of his power, not its
Yeah.
full being of whatever it is, but just
Right.
this piece
Yeah.
of its
The
power
piece
it
that he gave
allowed to
her.
channel
Right.
through this rune. But more importantly, the Hazrax is like looking ahead to that future chapter when she uses it on Onyx. The Hazrax is shocked she uses it to bring
Yes.
something back to life.
Yeah.
And I honestly wonder
Or to
if,
undo death
yes,
more.
Right.
like it assumed she would use it for destruction, maybe to break an oath, something like that, but to give something life, it's almost shocked by that. And I have to wonder if it was basically she almost maybe passed a test in its eyes because it's been wanting to observe this entire time. And maybe
Yeah.
this is an observation in all of the millennia. It has been observing all of the workings. It was surprised she was willing to use something in a positive way. And I wonder if this will be like a path towards sealing her room, like this whole sacrifice thing, sacrificing ultimate power to give life to something even as simple as a fox. And I want us to put a pin. We'll talk about it when we actually get to that chapter, but I want us to put a pin in the fact that so many people are like, she wasted it on Onyx. No, we have a theory of why it was important and good that she quote unquote wasted that power on Onyx and what we think will become important in the future because of that. Just to tease people.
Just to make you come back for more.
Some teases.
But Lindsay, let's
Yeah.
also correlate this to what you brought up. And we've had a bunch of videos on socials about this and the fact that this break rune is the same one that Kingfisher himself
Yeah.
summoned in the tower with Joshin. So do we think this is some kind of timeline fuckery of the gods and that's how Kingfisher knows it? Do we think it's because he's half god himself, so maybe he knows it through that connection? We
I
think
don't
they're the
know.
same though.
Yeah, there's just so many other words the author could have used for the same action of break, and
Yeah.
yet she chose to use the same word, and I think that that's meaningful. And this is not a marking that he also had. He literally drew the marking on the wall. So the fact that he knew to draw that rune, I don't know. I don't think that this is a half god thing. The only explanation that makes sense for me is timeline fuckery here.
Yeah.
And if Hazrax is a god, if he is one of the other gods,
Yeah.
he could be in
I
a
don't know
position
why,
to do
but
it.
I'm not feeling like the Hazrax is a god, and I don't know
Neither.
why.
I know.
But every time you say that, because I know you do, and
I don't
every
even
time
know
you
if
say
I
that,
do, to be fair. I go,
but
this is
every
the one
time
I
you say that,
swing
my
every
mind goes,
way.
and I
I
can't tell
know.
you why though. You know what
I
I
think he's
mean?
something else. I think it doesn't fit into anything because it's different. It stands on its own, and that's why it's so hard for us to wrap our itty bitty brains around because we haven't learned it
So
yet.
maybe it's
Yeah.
kind of like Adina, and they're almost on par themselves, right? The gods potentially looking through this oracle, right? Adina of the
Mhm.
Seven Towers, and perhaps this other creature being able to bestow runes, which should only be able to be bestowed by gods. It's because these two are kind of in this level of something unto themselves,
Yeah.
maybe some
Ah.
distinction.
Well, the Hazrak says, quote, "It is a silent rune, already sealed to your soul. It will act as a grounding rod for the runes you already have and the ones that are yet to come too. For a while, anyway. It will buy you some time while you work on sealing that brimstone mark." It also says, think of it as an apology for what is to come. Ominous. "I have seen through the eyes of your oracle, and your future is not an easy one. There are those who would consider me partially to blame for that." I what? What, Hazrax? Also, I had a moment before where I audibly gasped louder than I realized I did. And I don't know if this has any merit. I will just say that. But when we kept saying break and undo, and I was like, oh, what else would it break? What else? I don't know why my brain went to the thing that is also super important for Kingfisher is the fact that he is oath bound and all of those oath
Oh.
bindings. And so you have another one too. And
Yes.
so I was like, I wonder if there is something to the fact that all of the Fae pledge their oaths on this stone and that whole concept of who they all are oath to.
Oathed, yeah.
And I
You are
wonder if
correct.
this is part of it, is the undoing of that oath bound
You
Fae.
And she didn't
are
use it
correct.
for that.
You
She
are,
sure did
but
not.
you are correct because Hazrax says, if you proceed any further, you will shatter the rune I gave you. You will not be able to use it to save anyone else. You will not be able to use it to free your other friends from their oaths as you have freed your mate. So
Yeah.
you are completely correct,
Right.
Kelly.
I
It
wonder
could have
if
been
he can
used
do
for
it.
that.
But can he still do it?
Yes.
Can he do it?
If it is
Okay.
inherent in Hazrax's power,
if it's its
it
name,
should be
yeah.
able to. Yes, it is whether or
Ugh.
not it can or wants to, based on
Right.
Yeah, would.
probably the
Right.
oracles it is seen in the future.
Right. True. Because she used the rune version of its name, but she hasn't, to your point, she has not said its name. So is there a chance that saying the name can also allow them to use the name in that way. Okay. Anyway, that was my big gasp that I guessed.
Okay. But okay, going back to one of the quotes you just read, I have a thought about that too. Like, it will act as a grounding rod for the runes you already have and the ones that are yet to come for a while anyways. Well, now that she's invoked that rune and used it, does that mean that it's no longer going to act as a grounding rod for her, which means some of her power might be rogue?
You mean
Like,
when
if
she
she
uses
completely
it on
fucked
Onyx?
herself.
You mean when she uses it in the future
Yeah.
on Onyx?
Right.
I mean,
Possibly.
Has she fucked herself
To be
basically by
fair-
using it in that way?
to be fair, though, she was on her way to the Brimstone Palace, where probably it's a good place to go and seal that Brimstone mark. So,
Because it says it will buy you some time while you work on sealing that Brimstone mark.
Yeah. So yes, I totally agree. Had she not been heading to the home of the Brimstone, I would be also very, very worried as well, because you're correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. It basically said, well,
You've
time's
used it
out
now.
now.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
figure it out.
I also wonder if Adina knew that she was going to use it to save Onyx and
course she
just didn't tell the Hazrax. And
Of course
so
she did.
Adina knew it would all still be fine, but the Hazrax wasn't in on the reality. I don't know. I just have a lot of thoughts now that we haven't, not now that we, but since we have an Oracle in the picture.
I mean,
messes shit up.
Adina, even if she's working with Hazrax, she has seen all of these futures. In my mind, she's gone through that whole Doctor Strange, I've
Yeah.
seen 14 million
Yeah,
types of futures thing. I think she would limit, because Hazrax says it does not have the sight. I bet she would have limited what she allowed Hazrax to see for that
Right.
whole reason. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll talk about the second gift after an hour of talking about the first one. So the second gift is a new ring. It is a ruby, and it is for the Lord of Midnight, Foley, saying, quote, he will need it. Okay, but why?
Because the Brimstone rune glows red. And this is a ruby ring. And they're both red. And that's
And
all
your
I've
theory.
got. That's
Okay.
all I've got.
And they said that on what page? Okay. That's your theory.
That's all I got. That's all I
listen,
got. That's not even a theory.
It's better than any theory I have. Okay,
It's not
I
even
have
theory.
no
Sure,
theory.
and that's a correlation.
Yeah.
That's all I've gotten you.
There you go.
They
Red
both red.
colors.
They both red.
Quote, people call you the Hazrax, but that's not the name inked into my skin, is it? Clever child, it is not. You're never going to tell me what you are you? Why would I when you're so close to piecing it all together, King Killer? You've almost figured it out. Oh my God. We need to talk about this. What the heck do we think the Hazrax intentions are? It's clearly trying to help her, but why? Like, who or what is it? This is absolutely haunting number 5.
Haunted.
Yeah.
Let's discuss.
Haunted.
Yeah, I don't know
Haunted.
that I can anymore. The Hazrax has broken me. Just like it break. The Hazrax braked me.
Yeah, he broke to me.
It has done to you what its name
It
is.
has undone my sanity.
It has undone me.
That is how powerful
I am
this power
broke.
is. Jeez.
The only thing I can
I'm broke.
glean from this is the fact that it is saying you, Saris, are close to figuring it out. So it's basically all of Saris's musings. Nothing Kingfisher has told us necessarily in his own POV chapters, unless he told them to Saris, because it's talking specifically you, Saris. And I have to wonder, he's been calling her child queen, but when he says this one sentence, he calls her king killer. And does that have to do with any of it?
I don't know.
So now go read the
I don't
entire
know.
600 plus page book from that perspective of looking in the context of what Saris knows and the fact that she is the king's killer, and see if you come up with anything, because I got nada.
I definitely feel like the Hazrax is on her side.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think that it is, as we've said before, a chaotic neutral that leans towards Saris.
Yeah.
I don't think its intentions are bad.
I
That's
agree.
all I've got.
Yes, I agree with that, though, because it is ushering her along the path that Adina has laid out for her in this book of the Stargazers. So to me, it makes sense that is true. I agree with that. And I already love the Hazrax, but I want to have on page a real reason to love the Hazrax. And so I'm waiting. I don't want it to just be like my gut that I love the Hazrax, but I don't know.
Kingfisher and Lorith have Eshabel scrying, trying to find Renfis. Good old Renfis. Completely
is
gone in the
Renfis?
wind. But she can't find him.
Yes.
That's right. Side note, before we jump into the scene, we do get an unnamed father mention here. Kingfisher says, quote, "My father had used it as a study once upon a time, though I had no recollection of that." Well, if you had no recollection of that, why are you saying it? Shut up, Kingfisher. Who the fuck told you? Shut the fuck up.
Why are you talking in your brain to yourself about something that you have no recollection of?
Literally,
what are
shut
you
the fuck up.
doing?
Thanks
With your
for
unnamed
nothing.
father. Like,
Thanks
literally, you're giving
for
me nothing here.
Nothing.
Yeah. Shut
Look,
the fuck
you're
up.
not allowed to talk about your father anymore until you start calling him by Papa.
Give me a fucking name.
Name. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. Well, continuing on. Ishabel mentions that there are places full of dark spots. Quote, Quicksilver pools, sprite colonies, the black markets in Dow, and on Terran Ross. There are so many locations that are either warded from external magic or contain so much powerful magic that they drown out all other energy. Kingfisher thinks about it and puts two and two together that she returned from Nevercross, a prioress, centuries earlier than would normally happen. And he realizes the leaders of her clan rewarded her for the spell work at Amontria. Also realizes she used dark magic, which the elders would not have approved of, which means they did not know how she did it. She told him the vampires were willing to take the cure, and obviously they were not, since 1 in 10
one
did not take only 1 in 10 did take the cure. And just gonna have a little side mention here, just in case it becomes important later. We find out that Algat is from Kinross clan, so she is not a Balcater clan witch. So if you are right, Lindsay, and she went back to her clan, it is the clan Kinross she has gone back to. Kingfisher lists all the Fae kings, queens. Rurik we know about, but we get 2 new names. Royan of Galeria and Shara from Lycia.
So I looked it up because the Shara name was like making my spidey senses tingle, because we had gotten in Quicksilver the name of the queen of Lycia, which was Saoirse. And then I realized that these names, because they're listed with Rurik, were likely older rulers that were like in place when Rurik was in place. So I'm going to guess that Shara is Saoirse's mother, which means Shara is the one that is now a shade that's attached to Saoirse's life, who is the current queen of Lycia. That doesn't matter at all, but it's some like Fae history for us that I'm assuming. This could not be factual at all, but I'm putting some puzzle pieces together and making some assumptions about Lycian Fae history.
In case it becomes important, because we are going to Lycia, essentially. We're going very close to it.
Sure are. Well, Lorith lashes out with his magic.
That's hot.
Sure does. Throws Ishabel across the room and pins her up against the bookshelf. Attention. Oh, hey. Quote, "A band of energy that whipped around the witch's throat, dug into her skin, and cinched tight." Kingfisher notes that he has only seen him wield his power twice before, that his people considered their gifts sacred, and to use their gifts was to flout that theft in front of the gods.
So interesting.
Hey. Right? Okay then.
Yeah.
But-
with all of these people using all of their powers around you and you
Yep.
don't use yours, wow.
But also,
That's some Catholic guilt right there.
that's also some sexual tension right there.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kingfisher notes he was not going to hurt Isabel. Even though he was mad at her, he wasn't going to hurt her. So,
Yep. Yep. Pinning her up against the bookshelf, I was like, hopefully it's foreshadowing in a good way.
some boning.
Hello. Saris comes in and puts a stop to all this, saying that the rot has officially reached college. So enough of this because we got some stuff to do.
In
That's right.
my mind, when this happened, I'm screaming because I'm like, Kingfisher's going to leave college. The place protecting him from Balacon.
I know.
We're all fucked. Rinse and repeat
Yep.
in my brain over and over again.
I know. So most of the army has gone through the Shadowgate at this point, leaving Kalish and escaping to Inishtar. Saris tells Kingfisher that soon she would like to go back to Amontreath and help whatever is left of the court. Plus, she needs to see if the Horde is still there where she commanded them to stay. So I thought we had established, though, that her commanding power no longer stood. So does she not realize that implication as of yet?
I took it more to be if now that they are Fae, if they would still, not due to simply her literally being able to command them, but because she is still technically their queen, if they would be so lost as to basically say, I still respect you as queen, I need something to fall back on, and kind of hers to command through her being a queen, not through her a physical,
Not
like
through
compelling power.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. She wasn't their queen for very long.
I know.
They're like lost little puppies and they need somebody to follow.
Right.
but
Yeah.
In theory, I mean, one might assume that if a vampire took the cure and said, F this vampirism thing, they might be one of the vampires who would have been more loyal to Saris because they weren't all in clearly with being a vampire. So it's possible that she has some loyal people who are like, oh, thank God, I'm like done with Malcolm, all this stuff. And I don't know.
But the Horde?
The Horde.
Well, the Horde would only be those left. It's obviously not the feeders. No.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the other point, is that those feeders, the non-rot infected
the
feeders,
non-rot. Yeah.
I wonder if those...
Did they drop dead?
No, I don't think they dropped dead. So it's basically like, what happens to those feeders?
Right. Who commands them? Are they rogue?
That's what I think she wants.
She's trying to figure out.
Figure out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Kingfisher also mentions that the fire sprites refused to leave their pyre home below Kalish, assuming that the rot wouldn't be able to hurt them. Fair assumption, since Brimstone fights against them, right?
Yep.
Kingfisher and Onyx are the last to go through the Shadow Gate, and just as they are about to step through the gate, they hear an ominous, "Hello, dog."
And to your point, Lindsay, you remember how you said Onyx is always in important places? Onyx stayed with Kingfisher here.
He sure did.
Absolutely. Well, we know the only person to call Kingfisher this is Bellicon, back from book 1. But we go solely into Saris's POV for a bit, so we don't get this answer on page until the next episode.
Oh.
Sorry, listeners.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Saris steps through the Shadow Gate and bam! Feeder attack.
Feeder attack. I love that you do that every time.
Bam!
Now, I will say, this one kind of annoyed me a little because you're telling me that the entire fucking army went through that. Not one soldier thought to come back and say, yo, there's a fucking feeder attack. By the way, not one person turned around to come back through that gate to warn the rest of the motherfuckers that that's what we're coming into.
Clearly not.
That's rude.
Well, that didn't happen, Lindsay, so get over it.
But that could have solved
Woulda,
A
coulda,
lot
shoulda.
of problems.
You know what?
If one person.
You know what could have solved a lot of problems? If Hazrax would have just told us the fucking answer.
Listen, I said this in our last episode, then the book would be really boring.
That bothered me, though. I was like, really, not one person, an entire army goes through that fucking portal gate, and not one of them
is sent
warns
back to
the rest.
warn them. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
Danya is in charge of this army. Fucking
That's
Danya.
why. That's why. That is absolutely why.
There you
go.
There's your
answer. Well, Saris quickly realizes that Kingfisher's not there, and she can't feel him either. The battle rages on. Lorith is using Angel's Breath from Avisiath. Saris wielding Aramar and Selenir. She even takes out a human feeder. She does not realize yet, she will later, that this is a human. Foley is at her side with a flail. Whatever the fuck a flail is. Is that the...
Like a...
The thing with the points on the end. Yeah.
I love how we're both... Is that a...
This is one of these.
Carrying with Simon. And we get a quote. He has a reasonable level of expertise that he hadn't possessed when he'd arrived in Idalia. And poor Hayden passes out in the grass after the effects of the Shadow Gate, which probably is for the best.
Truly. Just be useless over there, please.
Play dead. Lorith even says that Tal has gone off getting his own vengeance. Quote, I told him to go with the others, but he refused. He started burning the blood out of the feeders left, right, and center. A very useful power, but that also confirms to us that is his true birthright Fae power. It was not some kind of like vampire power. That was his Fae power. And he continues, the last I saw of him, he had a sword in his hand and he was cutting the bastards down like a farmer scything wheat. I couldn't keep up with them. He threw himself into the pack of feeders back there somewhere, and I haven't seen him since. Zovenna, shockingly, has fled. And Saris tries to use her queenly power to tell the feeders to stop. And this is in the moment that she realizes her power over them is no longer in effect. But no, Saris, you dumb girl. You would never have had power over these feeders because these are not vampire feeders. These are human feeders. But she has not made any of these connections yet.
Yes.
Yeah, but I guess that answers my question from earlier because she hasn't made that connection yet.
Okay.
Right, until this point. Yep, good point. As the battle settles down, Saris looks to Adina's book. She's hoping that it will offer her some guidance on Kingfisher's location, but all it says is, quote, read on after the trade. And Saris keeps flipping back and forth thinking, there's got to be a page missing, right? Like, what is this? Nope.
Put a pin in it.
The trade. Great. Awesome. Thanks, Adina. Under normal circumstances, also, this town square seems completely idyllic. Quote, there had been an illustration of the small town built into the cliffside by the proud satyr population that called Inishtar home. The satyrs were architects, engineers, mathematicians. They loved music and art and taught their children to conquer their fear by challenging them to scale the vertical cliffs of their home and dive into the sea. A beautiful place that has sadly been devastated by this feeder attack. They make their way to the home of a friend of Telena's named Aurelis. Telena and Maynir, her mate, have already brought Everlane there, and she is still unconscious. Poor Everlane. Ishabel tries to scry, but she still cannot locate Renfis and now Kingfisher either. Thank God we have Carrion to turn this very tense moment hilarious. Ishabel says, it behooves me to find Kingfisher. Lorith says, behooves? Is one of those books you brought a dictionary? Ishabel says, this male doesn't understand the meaning of simple words. Carrion says, don't drag me into this. I don't know what behoove means either. And Lord says, I know what it means. I just don't believe you.
I love it.
It's
so
so good.
good.
Like, listen, bitch, I know what it means. And Carrie's like, fuck if I know.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, don't look at
But
me.
as much as he reads, how does he not
No,
come across
he is like,
these words?
not my circus, not my monkey. You
Yes.
guys figure out your sexual issues
Yeah.
yourself. Leave me out of
Right.
it. I'm going to
Right.
play
We already told
stupid and
Kingfisher.
get out of this.
Yes, exactly. He
I
already told Kingfisher,
freaking
listen,
love
I
it.
play dumb. I let them
Yes.
believe it. And he's doing it in this moment. I believe that.
Peace
I
out.
freaking love
Oh,
it.
hilarious. You
All
know what
right.
it means. I just don't believe you.
Ceres asks Aurelius if Inishtar has a quicksilver pool, although she can already feel the answer. She knows that it does not. She realizes that the feeders were human, and they weren't human very long ago since most of them had yet to feed.
Mm.
And they're going to talk a lot upcoming about where the feeders came from. But here's my question that is never addressed on the page. How did they become feeders in the first place? A feeder, to our knowledge, is something that has been bitten by a vampire and not turned into a vampire. We have never heard of any other vampires. The vampire population is gone. We haven't heard of any vampires in Zolvarin. How did these humans become feeders? Because that is literally not even a question that is asked, and it is not an issue that is brought up or addressed, and it bothers me. Like, I get they come from Zolvarin. How were they created?
Malcolm.
Yeah.
Malcolm?
It
in
has
Zolvarin?
to be Malcolm.
You mean Madra?
Yeah.
With Madra. No. Madra is with Malcolm.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I didn't think of it until this moment.
It would point to Malcolm still being alive and working with Madra in Zolvarin and turning humans into feeders and sending them through the
then
Quicksilver.
I am glad I was able to prompt you guys into that conclusion. Malcolm's still alive because how do you create feeders?
Yeah.
Literally, in this moment, you just helped me realize that. Shit!
I hadn't
Malcolm.
thought about the fact that who's creating them either. The only other thing that actually I just thought about too is remember Kingfisher said, I'm going to assume that Alget took the cure.
True. Alget might not have took the cure.
Alget might not have taken the cure. I don't know why she would be doing that, but it is in the text that she probably took the cure.
But also, it's probably
How long has it
unlikely
been?
she could have. Yeah, this has literally been a couple of days. She can't use the Shadow Gate. It takes a long time to travel, let alone how to get to Madra. But if Madra is aiding
Why
in her
can't she use a
travel,
Shadow Gate?
She doesn't have that power. Shadows only come from Diaxis.
Right, but clearly there's another gate somehow.
Oh, yeah. What I'm saying is basically
You
if
know?
she was working with Madra, it would be Madra funneling somehow her travel.
Would have to
We
be.
have no clue. We have no clue. We don't know who they're in cahoots with or why they're doing it.
The other thing I will
So-
point out, if it's not Malcolm, we still do not know of this unnamed, well, not unnamed, but unrevealed source.
Mhm.
True. That's true.
My gut says Malcolm, though. As soon
Me
as you
too.
said that, my gut says, because Madra and Malcolm have worked together in the past.
Right.
Malcolm, we said how many times at the end of the last book that
He's
he
not
was
dead.
too easy to kill, that Belicon has been beheaded multiple times and now he's still back. So
Right.
why was Malcolm so easy to kill?
Right. Yeah.
He
I
did
think-
drink Carrion's blood.
So he did turn.
And he was technically cured and then beheaded, which that is the answer,
Right.
but there's still a possibility.
Right.
That
And
it
I
could be
think the
Malcolm.
source is going to be the final boss monster. I don't think we're going to see that boss monster until the final dungeon. So I don't think it's
Maybe
the
we're
source right
really
now.
overthinking this, and the source is simply what they've been saying all along, that it is.
combo.
No, just Diaxis is the source of the demons and hell and where all of this stuff comes from. Maybe the source is their way of not saying Diaxis.
True.
Yeah.
Because you can't say it.
Yeah.
I like it. Fuck.
So I think we talked about this before too, but Saris also wonders how they could have gotten there, right? How there's no Quicksilver pool, there's no Shadow Gate. So how did they physically get there, right?
Mhm.
Kyrian pipes up and speculates that Madra must have found another way to travel between this realm and Zilvarin.
My boy's so wicked smart.
Wicked smart. Foley says, though, that in all of his time in the library, he never came across interrealm power that didn't rely on Quicksilver. But then they start to put it all together. Zilvarin is shaped like a wheel, a circle, the most powerful magical shape. Remember earlier when Foley told Saris that you cannot eradicate magic from a city. It will find a way to thrive one way or another. Madra has been using the entire city as a sigil, stealing power from its inhabitants for thousands of years. So Zilvarin is the biggest piece of spell work ever created.
That's insane. That
And-
is insane.
And it's not stated in so many words, but I wonder if we can infer from that is how she has become the immortal queen, using it for herself as well.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Ugh.
we get another
Genius, but I hate it.
genius. I hate it. Thank you.
I hate it, but it's
We
genius.
we get another quote. If it was true, then nowhere was safe. She could open a portal and deliver more feeders whenever she liked, wherever she liked, and that made her even more dangerous than Bellicon to the people of this realm. Taylena asks if a ward can be created against that large of magic, and it is Ishabel that answers no. Quote, you're talking about warding a realm. That kind of spell work would require Fae and witch magic working side by side. You'd need an entire coven of powerful witches and at least 10 strong, very specific number, Ishabel, but okay, 10 strong Fae wielders to build something that monumental. You'd also need something that belonged to Madra, not just something she touched once. You'd need something far more personal if we're going to block all her magic. Well, our Queen Saris is getting so smart in her younger years. She says, well, apparently you're a member of one of the most powerful witch clans to ever exist. I'm sure if your sisters understood what was at stake here, they'd agree to work with us on something that might just save the realm. And I don't know 10 of the most powerful members of the Fae, but I know one of them. And if I'm going to personally figure out where the fuck he is and bring him back to us, as for something personal that belongs to Mardra, I think I've got you covered there too. Turns out, Madra makes every one of her guardian soldiers carry some of her hair. Vain much? Why?
I remember finding out about that in Quicksilver being like, that's fucking weird. Well, here it comes back.
So they strip one of the recently dead feeders and take it, which is interesting because that means one of these dead feeders was one of her beloved
Yeah, her
guardians. Maybe beloved
Mhm.
isn't the correct word, but I also wonder if there's something to her hair making them more powerful or maybe also extending their life, because you remember that captain dude at the beginning of Quicksilver. What was his name?
Captain
Heron.
Heron.
Yeah. He had been with Madra this 1,000 years as well. So I wonder if that hair is also functional to extending their life as long as it's on their person.
Sarah sees Tally Boy, sitting on one of the cliffs, and she goes over to him. Sylvina is dead, and he is very conflicted about her death. He says straight up that she was a horrible person and that he loved her for 1,000 years and she never loved him back. In fact, she took pleasure in hurting him and that he sold his soul to the devil for her. Malcolm is the devil. True.
But it also says something to the fact that even if like Diaxis is truly hell and Styx is the god of hell, Malcolm is the devil, though. He's worse in Tal's mind.
He's the devil. That's true. He's his devil. Well, Tal says that he came to the cliffs to die, but now he is seeing the sunrise again and he is kind of questioning that decision. So Saris ever the good friend, just sits with him and holds his hand, which is a very, very
Mhm.
beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Saris picks up the sword that he has been fighting with and blazes her quicksilver rune, and a piece rolls out of her sword into his, and it's become a god sword. And she can see the moment that it speaks to him. He names it Tarison, which means redemption. And he asks her if it will have magic, and she responds, quote, "That is between you and the gods, but from now on, Tal, you'll always be fighting with us." And I absolutely love this moment of true redemption and purpose for a Tal who was always meant to be a Lupo, and
Mm-hmm.
now he has
Now
it,
he
and he
is. Yep.
is choosing it. And I love that for him.
Yeah.
I loved that
Agreed.
moment. I was glad she took a moment, like Callie took a moment to let us
Yes.
have that scene.
Mhm.
It was one of the most touching ones. I really loved it.
Yeah.
100%.
Agreed. Later, Lorith and Saris are sitting and talking in the town square, and they are watching Carrion, Hayden, and Ishabel play a game with adolescent fawns, fawn soccer, if you will. Saris asked him about the conversation with Kingfisher earlier in the Unnamed Fathers. I didn't know this was his study, but this is his study.
Mhm.
About another way to get Brimstone. Lorith tells her the plan, but we don't hear the plan. Kill me now, Callie Hart. Why?
Tell us, please.
Because we can only assume the plan is what actually happens, but was that
No, we
the
can't.
plan?
I can't.
We
I
can't.
can't assume that.
Exactly. That's my point. We can only see the plan, but we don't know if
she
that was
says-
the plan.
And she says, when he was done, I understood. It was an impossible plan. Okay. Great.
So does that mean it didn't happen because it's actually
Fine.
impossible? But like,
Don't tell me. It is a plan that Kingfisher cannot do without Saris, but Saris can do without him. What is
But
What does
also,
it
why?
also
Where's it gonna go?
what we see as what happens, let's just take a moment to say if that was the plan, what we saw on page was the plan. No, actually, Saris could not have done it without a Kingfisher, what we saw. So really, what was the plan Saris had in mind that Laura thinks Saris can do without Kingfisher?
I'm assuming that that's just referring to the fact that Saris is the only one that can actually, like, has power over Brimstone specifically.
Yeah.
That can be the only thing that makes sense. That she's the clutch to the plan because she has power over Brimstone.
Right.
But that also leads me, though, to believe that perhaps not even the Lupo realize who Kingfisher's true father is. So the fact that Lorith says whatever this plan is something Kingfisher cannot do without Saris, I have to take it a step further and assume that he doesn't know about his parentage, because I don't think he would have just made that type of blanket statement without taking into consideration Kingfisher's got a lot of power being the son of a god.
I don't know.
I think
it's a stretch.
I think it's a step further because we know the last thing that's written in Adina's book is to read on after the trade. So I don't think that Kingfisher can get that dragon without making a trade. And I think that trade has something to do with Saris. I think that's what the key is here. Because
Okay.
Kingfisher cannot do that trade without Saris.
Do
but
not
Saris can do
disagree.
it without him.
Yeah.
So that's where I think. So I think that those things can happen simultaneously. I think that the Lupo can know who his father is and that he can have access to a dragon, but without Saris, he can't get that dragon because Saris is the key to the trade. I think that's how it makes sense.
I don't know if I believe with Lindsay that they have to know who he is, or if I believe with Catherine and think that they actually don't know who his parents are. I cannot tell. And it drives me nuts.
I just think that because of the fact that Lorith and Danya and all of them had this conversation about, like, you know where to find Brimstone, that to me
That they know where he comes
screams
from.
that they know where he comes from.
That's true.
You
That's
know, like it just,
Yeah.
or
They
at
could
least
know because they fought the dragons. I don't know.
I mean, or at least they know that he was trapped there.
Or they
For a
simply know
time.
that that's where dragons come from, and somebody as fucking crazy as Kingfisher is going to find a way to get there. Even
But
if
the
they
fact
don't
that
know his
they would
heritage.
But the fact that he would say that's not an option, and they would so readily accept that, there has to be a reason
Something
that
else
they
that
would so
he knows
readily
they know.
accept that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and so it's like there has to be more to the story for them to be able to say, "Oh, we got
Yeah.
it. We
Okay, that might
understand."
be a point that actually helps me because
Yeah.
you're right. Like the fact that he said no, that's not an option, and they were like, "Well," it's like they know that he touched on some. They touched on some.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
A drove of satyrs, a drove of them, marches into the square, weapons in hand. They ask, "Where is he, the forgotten king?" And Laura says, "We have no crown kings among us." And a satyr named Galwinian says, quote, "Away with your Fae sidestepping, Lorith of the broken spire. I won't be fooled by careful wording. I know you have no crowned kings with you. The lad hasn't been coronated yet, but he's with you. I know. The whole of the Southlands is ringing with the news. Rurik's boy has returned, and he travels with the Bane." That's
There
just
you go. Now, this is also interesting because I think it's Saris who says, "Where's the forgotten king?" And she assumes that they're talking about Kingfisher. And he's like, "We don't have any crown kings." So there is still a Kingfisher, forgotten king, kingly connection to him
Yeah.
that I find really interesting here.
Yeah. That's true.
Just saying.
And I mean, if his dad is a god of king of his realm,
Just saying.
just saying. They think the satyrs are going to attack Carrion, but no, instead they all bow to him, lay down their weapons in offering, and start to sing. And they think, "Oh, gods, he's going to be insufferable after this."
It's so good. I love this scene so much. I like laughed and cried all at the same time. Carrion needs to speak. Like, hello, they're bowing to you, Carrion. But Lorith warns him, quote, "Be careful. If you say anything to acknowledge that you are the heir to the Avelian throne, it'll be public record. You won't be able to take it back. It'll be tantamount to declaring war against Belicon." So Galwinian asks him, "Will you address us? It would be an honor to hear the son and heir of Rurik Dianthus speak." His response, "My name's Carrion," he said. "Nice to meet you all. I really like your horns." Okay.
You know what? It's
There
hilarious,
are-
but politically, it was a smart move.
Listen.
He skirted that line.
I like your horns.
I like your horns.
At least he didn't make a horny joke.
Thank God.
That was
Knowing
for
Carrion,
Lindsay.
it could have been a lot worse.
Could have been horny. You're looking horny. Yes, he
Yep.
absolutely would have. And let's paint the picture here, okay? There are historians among this crowd, right? Someone would record this moment, the day that the satyr community received the Dianthus heir, and when they documented the first thing their forgotten king had said to them, it would be this: "I really like your horns."
And you know what? Maybe that is something that is really a mark of respect in the satyr community, because Saris doesn't know. She doesn't know what satyrs care
Right.
about. Maybe that is
Right.
one of the highest honors he could have said to them.
Yeah.
Or maybe
That's right.
he is hilariously unprepared to be the king and just got nervous and said something stupid. But we
I
love
really
him
like
for
your
it.
horns.
I really like your horns. Also, I kind of pictured as like a little bit of nerves, but also just like him being an idiot. Like, "Hey, I'm Carrion. Nice to meet you. I really like your horns." Like,
Yeah.
what's his name? Not Chris Pine. Chris,
Pratt.
Andy. Chris Pratt. I picture Chris Pratt as Carrion in this moment. Like, "Hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. I like your horns." Like, that is the vibe I'm getting, and I love it.
I like it. I love it. But in that moment, something comes to Saris, something that she has been missing. She races away, yelling behind her that she might know how to find Kingfisher.
Oh.
And come back next time and we'll tell you what that is.
Ah!
And episode end.
That's a wrap.
Oh my
No,
God.
literally, that's where we're ending the episode.
Yep,
We're
sorry.
sorry, listeners.
Like, I can't believe it. That was an insane way to end an episode. Thank you, Lindsay, for outlining it
But
that way.
listen, how do we? I had to.
Oh,
it's
no,
at
you had
this
to.
point. At this point, we are about to dive into action.
Yep.
Action.
It
I
was
had
well-
to end
No,
it
you
here.
had
It
to.
was
I'm
well
sorry.
done. It was well
absolutely
done.
had to.
It was well done. Well,
So Saris is going to run
cliffhanger.
away, and so are we.
Bye.
Until we come back in 2
goodbye.
weeks
Goodbye now. Goodbye.
for the
Goodbye
next
now.
Fantasy
Goodbye.
Friday.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Well, that is a wrap on episode 5, aka the episode that will haunt us, of
The haunting.
Brimstone by Callie Hart. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Be sure to like, follow, rate, comment on our podcast wherever you are listening, and follow us on our social media channels. If you would like to be able to enjoy this episode a day earlier, as well as monthly book club with authors, join our Patreon. We have a lot of other fun stuff for you there. Links you can find in our socials. And do it because we want to find more unhinged fantasy readers just like you.
Oh, yeah.
Come be
like
unhinged
us.
with us. Next time, we're going to be wrapping it up, covering chapters 46 through 52, the end of the book. So be sure to join us for the next Fantasy Friday. Happy reading. Bye.
Bye.